Captain Zorbuk of the Gloxorian Imperial warship Valxor strode onto the bridge, his heavy footsteps reverberating on the metal floors. He towered over his crew, his imposing green scales and jagged spines intimidating them into silence. "Report!" he bellowed, his raspy voice echoing across the vast bridge. His first officer, Lieutenant Vex, jumped to attention, avoiding his captain's piercing yellow eyes. "Boo, we have entered standard orbit around the planet Earth, approximately 92 million miles from its single yellow star-designated Sol," he stammered. Zorbuk clicked his razor-sharp claws together. "And the human vermin? Are they ripe for harvesting?" Vex nervously consulted his data tablet. Surface scans indicate no human life signs, Captain. It appears they have gone extinct since our last harvest. Zorbuk's massive tail slammed down in anger, leaving a dent in the metal floors. He remembered the last human harvest well. The tiny, soft-skinned humans had no advanced weapons, yet they fought viciously against the Gloxorian hunters, their primitive projectile weapons peppering his scales, drawing his glowing green blood. His claws instinctively reached up and touched the scar on his neck from where one of their lucky shots had torn through his armor. He had crushed that human skull in his fist, he remembered with some satisfaction. "Impossible!" Zorbuk roared. "Run the scans again. The humans were spreading like a plague across this planet. There must be some vermin hiding in their hives." The Valxor's science officer, Slex, wavered for a moment before speaking up. "We have run multiple comprehensive scans using a 500 K-wavelength electromagnetic field permeation scanner, backed up with neutrino imaging with petascale data analysis. There are 0 human life signs on all land masses and oceans." Zorbuk slammed his tail down again, rattling the bridge. His next harvest payment depended on securing more rare human specimens for the Imperial Zoo's collection. He would not tolerate failure. "Increase neutrino sensitivity by a factor of 10, he bellowed. "Scan the planet with every means available. Tear this world apart if you must. I want those humans found." For days, the Valxor bombarded the planet with every deep scanning technique its advanced technology allowed, painting the planet in wavelengths and energies far beyond human science. But still, no human biosigns appeared. Zorbuk obsessively watched the scans, consuming raw Krix beasts brought to him by trembling servants. He memorized every landmass, every ocean, every energy signature, searching for the teeming human hives that must be there. The tiny creatures couldn't have just vanished, could they? "Captain," Slex yelled, "an anomalous energy signature approaching from the outer system at near relativistic speed. It does not match any known ship configurations." "Visual," Zorbuk yelled. The main view screen zoomed in on a strange, ramshackle ship zoomed past, seeming on the verge of flying apart yet moving impossibly fast. Zorbuk's claws dug furrows in his command chair. What was this bizarre vessel? Some primitive escape pod from a nearly extinct race? The communications panel chimed. "Unidentified vessel transmitting on all frequencies. Audio only." "Let's hear it," Zorbuk growled. An absurdly confident human voice filled the bridge, causing Zorbuk to bare his razor fangs in rage. "Attention, alien dudes! This is Captain Jack Awesome Pants of the ESS Kick Your Butt." Captain Zorbuk brooded in silence on the bridge of the Valxor, digesting the bizarre encounter with the strange human vessel. The primitive-looking ship had easily torn through the Valxor's shields with its crude energy weapons before jumping away, that absurd human voice mocking them all the while. He turned to Lieutenant Vex, who was analyzing data from the brief clash. "Give me answers," he rasped. "How did that junk pile pierce our shields? What do we know about these humans and their ship?" Vex nervously clutched his data tablet. "The vessel matches no known configurations. It appears to be constructed from scrap metals and components scavenged from various sources. However, energy readings indicate the weapons are fission-based laser cannons far beyond expected human technology. He highlighted a section of the data. Here, the cannons are detonating traces of antimatter within positron buffers, channeling the energy into coherent beams. The yield is substantial. Zorbuk slammed a fist down. Impossible. Those vermin only had chemical rockets and slug throwers when we last harvested them. Vex shrunk back from his captain's rage. It seems they have progressed faster than anticipated, Captain. The language analysis suggests this vessel may have been traveling for some time, allowing them to scavenge advanced technology. Zorbuk rose from his command chair and paced the bridge, his spiked tail lashing. There is an old myth among the subject races that humans spread to worlds beyond their own sun. We dismissed it as superstition, but could it be true? He turned to his science officer, Slex. Give me theories. Could more of them have infested the galaxy? Slex hesitated. The ship was clearly constructed for long-duration travel between stars. Its antimatter energy source would allow journeys of thousands of light years. If they did spread beyond their home system, our scans may have missed them. Zorbuk clenched his clawed fists. They had vastly underestimated this species. Once nothing but meat for the Imperial Zoo, now they had the potential to become a threat. Activate the cloak and take us in closer to the inner planets, he ordered. We will rescan this system in minute detail. Launch stealth satellites through every sector. I want to know everything about human capabilities and locations. For weeks, the Valxor prowled the solar system under cloaking technology far beyond human science. The Glock's crew stealthily scanned the system and its worlds, including the primitive human homeworld. They uncovered no signs of additional humans. But one day, their scanners detected energy signatures on Saturn's icy moon of Titan. Magnifying the surface, they spotted the same junk pile ship hiding among the moon's methane lakes and hydrocarbon smog. Tiny objects were launching away from the ship, accelerating to near-light speed as they departed the solar system. Probes, Slex reported. They are mapping something. But what? Zorbuk's tail twitched thoughtfully. They seek more of their kind among the stars. Whatever they learn, those probes lead back to that ship and its captain. He studied the frozen, murky image of Titan again. We will follow the closest probe and see what secrets it reveals. We must know the extent of the human infestation. For days, the Valxor tracked the tiny object under cloak. At last, it slowed and entered orbit around a life-bearing world light years from Earth's sun. Scans revealed a massive, thriving settlement on the surface, vast power sources, advanced construction, technology rivaling even the Glock's empire, and life forms that matched human physiology. By the sacred moons of Klex, Slex gasped. There must be millions of them. Zorbuk studied the scans and grinned, baring his fangs. After so long assuming they were nearly extinct, humanity had ventured to the stars and built an interstellar empire away from prying eyes. Ruthless, cunning creatures. He felt a grudging respect. Now, to keep watch on this new power in secret and prepare the Imperial Senate for what must come next. The Gloxorian warship Valxor lingered beyond the edges of the human settlement's sensor range, cloaked and observing from afar. Captain Zorbuk watched the bustling activity on the planet's surface intently. Structures of gleaming composite materials and exotic alloys reached skyward. Sleek vehicles zoomed between them on elevated magnetic tracks. In orbit, swarms of satellites and ships moved in complex patterns. What have we learned about their capabilities? He asked Slex. The science officer read from his data pad, eyes wide. The power sources are largely antimatter reactors with efficiencies beyond our understanding. There are also energy grids tapping what appears to be zero-point vacuum fluctuations. He looked up nervously. And there is evidence of tempic power generation. The bridge crew muttered anxiously. Tempic power, the ability to manipulate temporal fields, was rarely mastered, even by the Glocks. Slex continued. The humans seem to have developed advanced atomically precise manufacturing and nanotechnology. Their computer processing power is difficult to quantify. Trillions of exaops at least. Zorbuk studied the megapolis below, gleaming slender towers connected by millions of vehicles and transit tubes. The humans had built all this away from their home star, developing radical technologies while the Glock's empire stagnated. A cunning move. His respect grew, even as his suspicion deepened. What was their agenda? Have we intercepted any internal communications? Anything to reveal their intentions? He asked. Vex stepped forward, data tablet in hand. Some loosely encrypted transmissions refer to this planet as Sanctuary. It appears to be a major population and industrial center, but not their homeworld. There are references to an alliance spanning many systems. His scales paled slightly. One transmission referred to preparations for a coming unveiling. Zorbuk's tail lashed. An interstellar human civilization preparing to reveal itself? Such an event could shift the balance of power unexpectedly. The Imperial Senate must be informed. Proximity alarms blared across the bridge. The captain turned to see a small human vessel approaching under conventional power. It matched no known configurations, seeming carved from a single piece of glossy black material. "Are we still cloaked?" Zorbuk demanded. Slex checked his console. "Yes, Captain, but they are scanning us somehow. Our cloak is still active, but they know we are here." Zorbuk watched the elegant vessel draw closer. "Open communications. Let us see what they want." The main screen shifted to show the face of a male human with dark skin and eyes. He wore a neatly trimmed beard and a faint, enigmatic smile. "Greetings, visitors," he said pleasantly in fluent Glocks. "I am Ambassador Jahani. On behalf of the people of Sanctuary, I bid you welcome." Zorbuk stood speechless for a moment before responding cautiously. "You speak our language well, human. How did you detect our ship?" Jahani smiled. "We know much about your great empire, Captain Zorbuk, including your cloaking systems. We detected fluctuations in your quantum foam wake." He spread his hands. "There is no need for secrets between equals. You have glimpsed our capabilities. What do you intend to do with what you have learned?" Zorbuk considered the shrewd human carefully. "For now, only to inform our leaders. We know much has changed." Jahani nodded. "Humanity abandoned its home world centuries ago to force new races to find their own path without our conflicts. Now, we are ready to step onto the galactic stage again." His expression became serious. "But know that we will defend our people vigorously if threatened. I cannot allow tensions due to old grudges." His eyes bored into Zorbuk's. "Can we agree, Captain?" Zorbuk maintained the steely gaze for a long moment before relaxing and inclining his head. "You demonstrate wisdom as well as strength, Ambassador. We will inform our empire of what has transpired here in full." Jahani smiled warmly again. "Then, in trust and openness between peoples, we will await your return." As the sleek ship moved away, Zorbuk sat back in contemplation. These humans were clearly ready for the power struggles of the galaxy, yet tempered by patience and foresight. The Empire would need to adjust its policies and perceptions, or risk catastrophic conflict. "Set a course for home," he ordered. "The Imperial Senate must see all we have witnessed here." Weeks later, the Glock's warship Valxor returned to the human settlement world under diplomatic escort. Captain Zorbuk had addressed the Imperial Senate at length, showing them the full data on humanity's astonishing progress. After much debate, the Senate voted to send an ambassadorial team to open formal relations. Senator Vrex was to be the ranking diplomat, backed by scientists and cultural experts. Zorbuk had argued for prudence and strict precautions, but Vrex was intent on an impressive display. An elaborate reception was planned on the surface, with Vrex transported down in his official state shuttle flanked by security ships. As the shuttle descended through the planet's clear blue skies, Zorbuk watched anxiously from the Valxor in orbit. He scanned the megapolis landscape uneasily. Something about this grandiose arrival felt unsafe. The sleek black ship of Ambassador Jahani glided smoothly up alongside Vrex's shuttle as it entered the towering city. Zorbuk admired Jahani's poise and tact. His presence kept tensions lower than Zorbuk expected. The Glock's delegation shuttles landed amidst honor guards, banners, and cheering crowds of humans. Zorbuk was surprised to even see young human hatchlings happily waving. Vrex and his aides strode importantly down the ramp into an elegant open-air pavilion. There awaited Jahani and his own delegation in richly colored robes. The two sides greeted each other warmly, exchanging deep bows. As they turned to enter glittering reception halls, the cityscape around them shimmered and dissolved into empty scrub desert. Vrex stumbled back in shock as the cheering crowds, buildings, and ships vanished, leaving him standing confused amidst hot winds. High above, the sleek black ship of Jahani winked out of existence as well. Where there had appeared a gleaming advanced city a moment before, there was only barren waste in all directions. "An illusion!" Vrex bellowed in rage. "Explain this, human!" The figure of Jahani remained unaffected, still calmly smiling. "Merely a glimpse of what could be, Senator. We felt your expectations required managing." Vrex sputtered indignantly as Jahani gestured to a small domed building nearby, the single real structure for miles. "The true reception is here. Please follow me." Inside, the decor was simple but elegant, with specimens of exotic flora and fauna on display. Jahani introduced the Glock's delegation to actual human leaders far less ostentatious than the fabricated crowds outside. Refreshments were served, and Vrex's indignation soon faded. Zorbuk monitored discussions from orbit as the real diplomatic dialogue began. The humans were everything Ambassador Jahani had been, disarmingly warm yet shrewd and strategically modest. At the end of the visit, Jahani presented Senator Vrex with a data crystal engraved with fractal designs. "A small token of our capabilities," he explained. Back aboard the Valxor, Vrex and Zorbuk accessed the crystal together. At first it appeared blank, but then resolved into a cascading portal opening up an impossible wealth of knowledge on humanity's history and culture. Zorbuk realized it held accessible summaries of millennia of civilizational data, philosophy, art, universal translations. Touching certain symbols allowed interaction with vividly lifelike historical reconstructions. "Sufficient for now to build understanding between peoples," Jahani's voice explained gently. "Some knowledge must unfold at its proper pace." Senator Vrex sat in solemn contemplation. "Your people demonstrate wisdom in what they choose to reveal and conceal. Perhaps much that was hidden will now slowly come to light." Zorbuk nodded, feeling he had gained insight into humanity's layered mindset. They looked far beyond immediate gains in favor of lasting balance. The Glock's empire would need to adapt to this new interstellar power, but for now, a fragile peace had been formed. A century after first contact, the sanctuary planet buzzed with activity as humans and Glocks worked side by side. The once barren deserts now hosted sprawling academies where species shared knowledge. Senator Vrex walked slowly through the minimalist meditation gardens, reflecting on the long path that led here. Ambitious at first, he had since learned patience and insight from human philosophy. His aide announced the arrival of Captain Zorbuk. Vrex turned to see the old warrior, his scales now gray but his eyes still sharp. They clasped hands warmly. "It is a fine thing we have built here together, Captain," Vrex said. Zorbuk nodded. "I will miss these days, but humanity's time has come again." News had arrived that a new spacefaring race advanced enough for first contact had arisen on Earth. Humanity was preparing to reveal itself. Vrex and Zorbuk made their way to the Central Academy, where humans and Glocks filled auditoriums and overflowed into gardens wired with holographic projectors. All eagerly awaited the proceedings. On the stage sat a row of the highest human leaders, including a smiling but now white-haired Ambassador Jahani. Zorbuk was honored to join them. A hush fell over the immense gathering as the lights dimmed. A vast star field appeared, resolving into a view of Earth's solar system. Current scans showed bustling orbital shipyards, soaring satellites, and thriving colonies throughout the system. Notifications appeared as scout ships reported alien vessels approaching Mars. The images zoomed in to show sleek cruisers arriving to greet the first extraterrestrial contact in centuries. Zorbuk watched the profound moment unfold as Earth took its place again among the stars. But this time, on more ethical, balanced terms. There was applause as the images showed humanity welcoming the newcomers. Their civilization was still young, but held promise. Zorbuk knew they would be shepherded to wisdom. The crowds turned respectfully to the aged human leaders. Jahani rose slowly but moved gracefully to the lectern, his lined face beaming. "We cannot say what lies ahead for Earth's people, or for any race," he began, his voice still resonant. "But after so long helping species find their own way, humanity can now offer its guidance when needed." Eyes twinkling, he whispered loudly, "Without spoiling too many surprises the cosmos may hold." Laughter rippled through the gathering. Zorbuk rumbled his own chuckle. After a century of friendship with humans, the galaxy felt far larger and richer with possibility. Let us give thanks to past generations whose sacrifices allowed this moment. Jahani looked meaningfully at Zorbuk and the other first contact veterans, and promised to pass on their spirit of exploration, perseverance, and compassion. As one, the thousands present touched hands to hearts in the human custom of gratitude and loyalty. Zorbuk knelt reverently on one knee, honoring humanity's wisdom. Jahani slowly raised clasped hands over his head in victory and jubilation. A new age had begun. Zorbuk roared his applause, the sound mixing with the crowd's cheers at this milestone achievement. Captain Jack's defiant ingenuity and Ambassador Jahani's patient leadership had brought them to this day. Now Earth could join the galactic community it helped shape and mature. Humanity's soul had proven truly unconquerable.